Tonight, AEW presents Double or Nothing from inside Daly's place in Jacksonville, Florida. Of course, it's going to be a very big show. There's lots of big matches. It's a massive card. It's a huge card announced for the show, but arguably it's no match. No match will do justice of this show. I don't think the thing that anyone's looking forward to is one particular match. People are looking forward, obviously, to lots of different matches, including the match we're going to talk about here, but I think the thing that everyone's excited about the most tonight at Double or Nothing is that attendance, because it looks like AEW is very, very close to selling out Daly's place for tonight's show, so we're going to be looking at roughly 5,000 live fans in attendance for Double or Nothing tonight. How exciting is that? It's so exciting. The reaction that everyone's going to get, even the lesser known wrestlers or the most over wrestlers, it's just going to be great. How much we have missed live fans, how much we have missed atmosphere, how much we have missed reactions and all of that sort of stuff. It's very, very exciting. I think that's the thing for me. And I've done quite a few of these preview videos today. I'm not going to do it for every video because it's like a 10-match card. So this is going to be the last one that I do before the watch-along. But, all of these matches that I've spoken about today are all going to be good. They're all going to be good matches, some better than others, and, that's just the world of pro wrestling, isn't it? Some matches deliver, some matches don't, all that kind of stuff, but they're all going to be good in their own ways, but having that crowd reaction, having that fan reaction is going to take these matches from here to here. That's just how the fans work. That's how atmosphere, that's how reaction works, and that's what I'm so excited about for this show. The matches are going to be good, but it's the reactions that I'm really looking forward to tonight. So the match we are going to talk about here, you can see it on the screen, is for the AEW World Championship. It's a triple threat match, the first ever, I guess, main event, if this is going to be the main event. I just did the Stadium Stampede video, and I still have a feeling that the Stadium Stampede is going to be the main event for Double or Nothing tonight, but we'll have to wait and see. But this is a triple threat match for the AEW World Championship. It's AEW World Champion Kenny Omega defending against Orange Cassidy and PAC. Now, I've got a lot of feelings on this one. I've got a lot of opinions on this match, really, I do. First of all, I think the outcome's very predictable. I don't see a scenario, and look, I could be wrong, and you can watch me be wrong for the watch-along tonight. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We'll also do a post-show reaction stream as well, so subscribe. You can watch both of those live on YouTube, but I feel this is arguably the most predictable match of the night, because I don't see a scenario at all. I really don't see a scenario at all where Kenny Omega drops the AEW World Championship tonight. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. That's no disrespect to Orange Cassidy. That's no disrespect to PAC. But I don't think either wrestler is ready to be the AEW World Champion right now. I don't think Kenny Omega's going to drop the AEW World Championship right now. I don't think this is the right time for Kenny Omega to drop the AEW World Championship. I don't think this is the right opponent for Kenny Omega to drop the AEW World Championship. I think it's as simple as that. I just don't think it's the right time. I don't think it's the right opponents. And that's about it, really. I think that Kenny Omega's World Championship reign will continue until, I say, All Out at the, at a minimum. Who he drops the championship against, I mean, that's an interesting one. Right now on the AEW roster, who do you look at and you say, okay, that guy could be the next AEW World Champion? It's a difficult question. Don't get me wrong, there's a ton of talent on that AEW roster. There really is. But looking at the next guy to really win the World Championship, that's a tough one to predict. That's a really tough one to predict. I mean, you don't go back to Jericho. You don't go back to Moxley. We've done that. I mean, I think Christian Cage wins the Casino Battle Royale tonight. I don't see Christian Cage as being the next AEW World Champion. I know that, obviously, that would be an excellent story, and a guy that was forced to retire comes back, outworks everyone, becomes the AEW World Champion. That's a story. I don't know if I see it. I don't know if I see that. Certainly, it'd be a great story, it'd be a great moment, but I'm not sure I see AEW going in that direction. I mean, there's a possibility, I suppose, Hangman Adam Page. Not Hangman Adam Page right now. I think Hangman, to be honest, is one of these guys that's arguably suffered the most without having the fans in attendance. When prior to the pandemic, prior to COVID, Hangman Adam Page is one of the most over guys on the AEW roster. He's getting some of the biggest reactions every single week on Dynamite. The whole distancing himself from the elite and then becoming, I guess, like a functioning alcoholic, essentially, coming out drinking all the time, drinking beers out of the hands of the fans. Can you imagine that now in this, we're still kind of in the pandemic at the moment, but during this world that we're living in right now, he was taking beers, other people's beers, strangers' beers. out of their unwashed hands or unsanitized hands. He was taking them out the crowd and downing them and then giving them back. They'd been drinking out of that cup too. That's madness in this current world. I can't believe that he was doing that. And so it just seems crazy that he was doing that. But he was doing that, and he was getting over doing that. He was very popular. And then once we got into the pandemic, he didn't have that groundswell of support and that groundswell of reaction. And his character then suddenly didn't feel as, I don't know, just as popular or had that momentum. So maybe now that fans are coming back, maybe because the fans are coming back, he gets a greater reaction, shall we say, from those in attendance once AEW goes back to touring in July. Maybe that momentum is enough to face off against his former AEW World Tag Team Championship partner in Kenny Omega and finally win the big one, finally challenge for the AEW World Championship and win it, because of course he was in the match to determine the inaugural AEW World Champion. It was Chris Jericho versus Hangman Page, and Hangman Page obviously, very, very obviously at that period of time, was not ready for that spot at all. At all, he was not ready for that spot. So maybe Hangman Page is the guy to defeat Kenny Omega in the future. As opposed to right now, tonight, don't see it. I just don't see it. I think, as I mentioned, this is probably the most predictable match of the show. Now, how did we get here? Of course, we had PAC versus Orange Cassidy on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually, this was teased, wasn't it? It was teased at the Blood and Guts edition of AEW Dynamite, in which Tony Schiavone said, I've got a big announcement to make about the future of the AEW World Championship, specifically the challenges for Double or Nothing. We had the announcement that Orange Cassidy would face PAC the following week on Dynamite to determine Kenny Omega's opponent for Double or Nothing. There was a confrontation between Kenny Omega and Orange Cassidy in front of the live crowd at Blood and Guts. I felt that at the time that was to kind of gauge as to where the fans were going to go with it, if they could buy into it, if they could believe it. There's no doubt. I know some people don't like him, and I know that some people that even used to like him feel that the gimmick maybe is going a bit stale right now. But for me, Orange Cassidy is just as over as he's ever been. He is so over with that AEW audience. They love the character. They love the gimmick. Is he believable as a world champion? It's tough because this is still the guy that beat Chris Jericho last year. He feuded with Jericho successfully. He defeated Chris Jericho successfully, and he felt like a big deal doing it, and you kind of believed into it. And you do believe into the Orange Cassidy character in the extent of the whole deal is, isn't it? When he tries, he really tries. And when he tries and then he has matches, he can produce some incredible matches, and he can show personality, and he can get angry when it matters and all that kind of stuff. So I guess people could respond and say, well, who's to say he can't be the AEW World Champion? Maybe in the future, I don't know. I would take a while to warm up to that one, frankly. I mean, maybe it's not impossible. Like I just said, he did beat Chris Jericho last year. And if you can beat Chris Jericho, if Chris Jericho's willing to put you over, who's to say he can't become the AEW World Champion? Personally, I do think we will see Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy in a singles match at some point. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility at all. In fact, I think that's the reason that PAC's in this match in general. The way we got to this one on Dynamite, we had a situation where PAC faced off against Orange Cassidy, and they did a spot where PAC it looked like Orange Cassidy was knocked out legitimately because of a powerbomb that PAC did to Orange Cassidy. Landed high and tight on his head, and he was knocked out, and they decided just to call the match off. In essence, they called an audible because Kenny Omega and Don Callis came out, attacked both guys. It was a double disqualification. One of the first and only times we actually saw that, or have seen that in AEW. We don't really see that often when it goes to a non-finish or a double disqualification in a no contest, whatever you want to call it. Usually we don't see that really in AEW. They try and stay away from that. So we had that, and then we had the situation where they said, well, actually, Kenny, you thought you were being smart here, but actually it's going to be a triple threat match now at Double or Nothing because you got involved. In reality, the original plans for that match were to actually go to a time limit draw. Obviously, every match in most matches in AEW have a time limit. And essentially what we were going to have is Orange Cassidy and PAC go to a time limit. They draw, therefore they both face Kenny Omega. That was going to be the plan, but because Orange Cassidy got injured, got hurt, they took the necessary and correct precautions in that match, and then they changed it. They changed the outcome, so Kenny Omega and Don Callis just got involved, and they got the triple threat match that way. So it was the same destination, just a little bit of a different route to get there in the end. I think PAC's in this match to take the pinfall. I think that Kenny Omega pins PAC in this match. Or submits him. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think Kenny Omega pins PAC in this match. I think that protects Orange Cassidy, and I think that opens up the possibility of potentially having Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship in the future. Again, I don't see Orange Cassidy winning it at that point in the future, but they could obviously do that in the future, possibly maybe a big television main event when they return to touring, something like that. They could certainly do that. That's a possibility as well. I do have my sort of slight issues, as I mentioned, with this as a main event. This is why I just don't think it is going to be a main event. I don't think this is going to be the main event. I think the Stadium Stampede is going to be the main event, because I look at this and I just say, Double or Nothing was the first ever pay-per-view event that AEW did. Now, is it their biggest show of the year? Probably not. You could argue that All Out is their biggest pay-per-view event of the year. It's got the lineage to All In back in 2018, and it does have, again, and that was the spark that fanned the flames of AEW, if you will. That was the pilot, but Double or Nothing was the first ever event that AEW did, and therefore it does have a ton of history, and it's probably, you could argue, their second biggest show of the year. It's their second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Usually it's run in the MGM Grand. I say usually, we've had 3 now, and only 1 has, but it's meant to run in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's a big event for AEW, and I look at this and I sort of go, there's a reason I don't think it's going to be the main event, put it that way. I just don't know not that it's necessarily not a big match, because it is, and you've got great competitors in there. All 3 guys are very good at what they do. Does it feel like a main event World Championship match at your second biggest show of the year? And my gut says no. Now, could you do a bigger match? I think you could. I think there's names on the roster you could do. I think they're looking forward towards the Kenny Omega Christian Cage match. Coming out of AEW Revolution, what happened with Kenny Omega on Dynamite? What was the thing that Kenny Omega did on Dynamite that week? He had a confrontation with Christian Cage. Christian Cage made his AEW Dynamite debut. He had a physical confrontation with Kenny Omega. It led to a lot of people thinking, okay, we're going to get Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage at Double or Nothing. That's certainly what I felt at the time. Now, I think AEW almost backed themselves into a corner slightly, because they realized, well, we've got a ranking system here. We can't just have Christian Cage come in and immediately challenge for the AEW World Championship. It doesn't work like that. Also, we've marketed Christian Cage as this legend, but he's also got this slogan on his t-shirt that says, outwork everybody. If he comes in, only has a couple of matches and then challenges for the World Championship, you could say, well, who has he outworked there? He's outworked nobody, and he hasn't adhered to the ranking system. So AEW kind of backed themselves into a corner and realized, actually, I don't think we can do Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega straight away. How do we get there? Well, you have Christian Cage win the Casino Battle Royale, which I think he does at Double or Nothing. Then he's got the AEW World Championship opportunity in his back pocket, and then they can use that and go to Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage, say it All Out, which I think is probably the likely destination for Kenny Omega heading into All Out. So maybe that's the likely scenario. I don't know. It's just, again, I have no doubts this match is going to be good. I think Orange Cassidy is going to be over tremendously with that live audience there in Daly's Place. I have no doubts about that. The guy is just super, super, super over with the AEW audience, and I don't think anything's going to change there. I think they'll do some real nice near falls. You have to remember that Orange Cassidy faced off against PAC right before the pandemic, AEW Revolution 2020. Orange Cassidy faced off against PAC, and it was one of the... if it wasn't for the Kenny Omega match on that show, which was Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks, I'd have said that was the match of the night, and it certainly stole the show, because it was that good. It surprised everyone. The crowd were into it. They were going nuts. They were going crazy. So it's kind of that great match from Revolution, a part of the best match in AEW Revolution, which was Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks, and they've kind of merged them together. So I have no doubts that the crowd are going to really be into this. The AEW audience loves Orange Cassidy. I'm sure they'll do a ton of near falls and a ton of really interesting spots. You can also tell the story, of course, that PAC does own a victory over Kenny Omega in the early days of AEW at AEW All Out in 2019. PAC actually submitted Kenny Omega, which at the time, looking back on it, was such a big deal, wasn't it? Nobody saw that coming. So they can tell that story. There's a legitimate threat, I suppose, that PAC can say, well, I pinned Kenny Omega in the past, so I've got a chance of winning. Orange Cassidy's got the support of the audience. He's the underdog babyface in this scenario. So they could have near falls. I think, like I said, I think the outcome of this one is probably the most predictable match of the entire show, which makes me question whether or not it is truly going to be the main event. I don't know if I see that. I don't know if I see that being the main event of the show. So I think Kenny Omega retains. I think it's relatively obvious, and I think it's a relatively, like I said, predictable outcome that Kenny Omega retains. That doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's going to be a bad match at all. I think Kenny Omega retains, but I think it's the right decision. So it'll be interesting. I think the crowd's going to be into it regardless. So I expect a good match. But I think Kenny Omega retains, and I think Kenny Omega retains by pinning PAC, which opens up the possibility to have Omega versus Orange Cassidy in a singles match in the future. But look, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Kenny Omega defending the AEW World Championship against Orange Cassidy and PAC tonight at AEW Double or Nothing? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. It really does help us out here on YouTube, got the rankings, and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.